I'm trying to figure out who inserted this broad, a new section of the bill that is covered nowhere in the underlying bill. Then we get to page 39. $65 million for each of the fiscal years 2014 through 2011 through 2014. $65 million for 3 years. And who's going to get this money? I can't tell in this amendment. And as we go through this, page 41, determine any geographic area within the contiguous United States that lacks a federal power marketing agency. Because, you know, we can't move power around the country without a federal power marketing agency. We do it today, but now we have to have a new government agency to do this. We are doing it already. Or, same page 41, the establishment of any new federal lending authority, including authorization of additional lending authority for existing federal agencies not to exceed $3.5 billion per geographic area identified in subsection A/1. This is $3.5 billion in loans for each geographic area, but we don't know how many geographic areas are included or how many billions in total we're really talking about. How about on page 42? Any source of funds, including federal funds, provided through the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act shall qualify as the building's owner's 50% contribution. Now, let me make sure I get this straight. So now you can use federal money for non-federal matching requirements. How much is all of this going to cost? Or on page 45. Remember now, this is the amendment. This is not the bill. This is the amendment filed at 3:09 a.m. Page 45. This section shall apply only to construction beginning after the date of enactment of this bill. For those who don't know it, all California housing standards are now going to be imposed on every American community. You don't have the right to have your own building standards in your community or in your state. Hell no, the federal government's going to tell you what they are. And guess what? We all get to have California standards. Who's going to pay the price for those new homes? How are we going to do affordable housing when we're pushing up the cost of houses? And while I'm at it, we have to have an energy rating for every home in America. In this bill, we require every home to have an energy rating. And if you go to sell your house, guess what? You have to have a review, bring people in, have them check out your windows, your appliances, your hot water heater, your door. Make sure that your house is energy efficient. And guess what if it isn't? You've got to bring it up to standards before you can sell it. Now, what kind of bizarre notion is that? Well, we get to page 47. 46, at the bottom. A plan for local government actions to be taken to establish and sustain local building code enforcement administration functions without continuing the federal support at a level at least equivalent to that proposed in the grant application. You all get that? It doesn't explain it, but here's what it is. Federal government's going to mandate all of these new standards on every house built in America. It's going to cost your local building department all kinds of money to enforce this and to revise their code. And when the money runs out, we're going to allow them to apply for a grant to the United States government. I'm sure my constituents would love that. Page 48. Each building code enforcement department receiving a grant under subsection A shall impanel a code administration and enforcement team consisting of at least one full-time building code enforcement officer, a city planner, and a health planner or similar officer. Now, I got some big towns in my district, Hamilton, Middletown, Westchester. They can probably afford this new enforcement. But I can take you to Chickasaw, Mercer County in my district. They don't have one full-time person that works for the village. All right, not one. Look at the mandate on every city, village in America right here in this bill. So that we're not only going to tell you what the codes are going to be, but we're going to tell you how many people you need to hire to enforce this in this section of this code. See, I actually did take time, most of today, trying to understand what was in here. How about on page 53? Solar energy systems building permit requirements for receipt of community development block grants. So, what are we doing here to amend the community block grant program? We're going to impose global warming requirements on all the cities who get CBDG monies from us. That's what it appears to say to me. Or on page 54, any metropolitan city or urban county during such fiscal year, the cost of any permit or license for construction or installation of any solar energy system for any structure that is required by the metropolitan city or urban county or by any other political subdivision of such city county complies with paragraph 2. So now we're going to tell them what to charge for their building permits as well in every city in America. Oh, then we get to page 56. The Secretary of Energy shall issue regulations to prohibit any private covenant, contract provision, lease provision, homeowners association rule, or bylaw. Oh, let me read this again. The Secretary of Energy here in Washington, D.C. shall issue regulations to prohibit any private covenant, contract provision, lease provision, homeowners association rule, or bylaw. Just for those of you that didn't think there might not be a lot of government bureaucracy in this bill. And then we get to page 63. The amount necessary to change consumer behavior to purchase water-efficient products and services. So now, now, let me read this again, make sure I'm right. The amount necessary to change consumer behavior to purchase water-efficient products and services. So we're going to provide the American people with money in order to change their behavior so they'll buy goods and services that they don't want to buy. I wonder how much that'll cost. Page 64, subsection 2, to create jobs through the retooling and expansion of manufacturing facilities to produce clean energy technologies. To create jobs. So how many jobs is this going to create? Will it replace the 2.5 million jobs that are going to be lost each year as a result of this bill? I can't tell. Then we get to page 68. The Secretary shall award grants to states to establish revolving loan funds to provide loans to small and medium-sized manufacturers. So who's going to compensate manufacturers for putting them out of business with more loans? Then we get to page 70. In particular, where mass layoffs have resulted in precipitous increase in unemployment. So we have a provision in here that recognizes that millions of American jobs are going to be lost. But don't worry, we're going to extend your unemployment. Most of my constituents who are unemployed don't want more unemployment, they want a job. And this is going to kill them. I hate to do this to all of you. I do. I hate to do this. But when you file a 300-page amendment at 3:09 in the morning, somebody needs to work on it. I worked on it today. And I want to make sure everybody understands what's in this 300-page amendment. Page 76. Certification by Hollings Manufacturing Extension Center. A Hollings Manufacturing Extension Center or other entity designated by the Secretary for purposes of providing certifications under clause so and so and so and so. So now, why are we singling out one company? One company. And where did this company come from? Then further down the page on page 76. Repayment upon relocation outside the United States. In general, if a person receives a loan under paragraph 1 to finance the cost of re-equipment equipping, expanding, or establishing a manufacturing facility as described in subsection C1A, or to reduce the energy intensity of a manufacturing facility, and such person relocates the production activities of such manufacturing facility outside the United States. So we recognize here that we are going to force companies to take their jobs and ship them overseas. It's right here in the bill. I'm glad it's recognized by my colleagues. Then we get to page 80. To support manufacturers in their identification and diversification to new markets. Another admission that the bill before us is going to kill millions of small businesses and even tens of millions of jobs.